so that the pranic energy can travel easily and it can touch the Sushumna and Kundalini gets awakened, and then you are in a slowly in beginning state of supraconscious, which will solve the problem, which will give you a real understanding what are you. Then identification with body will stop. You will be in real state of which they call beginning of samadhi. One or two.
Yeah, skipping on to number 12, because you more or less discussed 11 there quite well. When prana moves through the Sushumna and manas merges into the Shunya, like the Sushumna, the yogi is no longer bound by the law of karma. The note is that this manas merging in Shunya, so the zero space, signifies complete inactivity of the mind. Amaroli Bajoli Sajoli, you want to get into that?
You can say, I will explain.
Okay. I bow to you, meaning I recognize your importance, O Amaroli. You have conquered even death, into whose jaws ultimately falls the entire universe, movable and immovable. Everything in this world comes into existence and goes out of existence, born and die, ceases to exist sooner or later, but the yogi who has succeeded in Vajroli rises above birth and death. Amaroli, Vajroli and Sahajoli are accomplished when Chitta attains equilibrium and Vayu, meaning the prana, apana, enters the Sushumna.
Here, understand one thing. When they say rises above the death, you know, even writer is not alive today. What they say, the fear of death disappears. That's the meaning what they want to say, not that you become immortal. Because it is composed in poetry that they use certain ornamental words to magnify the importance of the practice. But the real meaning is that Abhinivesha doesn't remain there. You come to realize what is the process of life and death.
How can knowledge of truth dawn on the mind so long as the external activities of prana are going on and ordinary mental activity has not ceased? Only he who has...
Mental activity, thinking.
What? Only he who has in this way stopped the activities of both prana and manas attains liberation and none else. So the external activities of prana are the perceptible life activities. While the mind is perfectly inactive in one sense, it is full of consciousness in another sense. Sitting always in a suitable place, knowing how to pierce the Sushumna and striving the Vayu through the middle path, one, meaning the yogi, should restrain the Brahmarandra. So the yogi is advised to practice...
Brahmarandra, the central place in the face. See, they have a concept. Concept is that in our system, mind is not one thing. It is spread all over body, the mind cells are there. And when you are able to draw them and put at one place, then thinking stops and you are in the very deep meditation. So this is a concept. I do not know from modern point of view whether right or wrong, but they have this concept. The mind is spread all over your body. And when you try to sit in meditation technique, your effort is to withdraw all the thing and center here.
So Kala, which we know is time, is composed of day and night, which are caused by the rising and setting of the sun and the moon. This Kala is swallowed up by Sushumna. This is said to be a great secret. So Sushumna here stands for Shmasana, a complete absence of ordinary consciousness. Since in that state, so ordinary consciousness has perception, time is perceived, so in this state that's not the case in Sushumna. There are 72,000 nadi passages in the cage, referring to the body. Out of these, Sushumna alone is said to be the energy of Lord Shambhu, the primeval energy, so the original energy. Others are all useless, i.e. unimportant for the purpose of spiritual development. It is only when the prana arises through the Sushumna that the yogi is on the path leading to higher stage of yoga. So after the Kundalini is aroused, the trained Vayu, prana, along with Agni in the navel, enters the Sushumna unhampered by any obstruction. The note on that says, arousal of Kundalini by training of the Vayu means arousal of a very rich experience by practicing the asanas, kumbhakas, which is pranayama, and mudras. This experience includes a sensation of heat, and Vayu is therefore said to be accompanied by Agni, which according to yogis resides in the navel region. This in its turn brings with it a cutaneous sensation, sometimes called prana sanchara. Blocking of the mouth of Sushumna is said to be removed. Because the sleeping Kundalini is supposed to block the way, and this obstacle is naturally removed when the Kundalini is aroused. So just moving up in chapter 4 to the number 70 and beyond. Arambhavasta. The yogi,
beginning state. Arambha means in Sanskrit starting a state of inner space, not outer space.
the yogi who has attained this inner space, the Arambhavasta, acquires a lustrous body, a brilliant mind, a natural fragrance, freedom from disease, fullness of heart, and absence of all ordinary consciousness. As the Brahma Granthi is pierced and her mind becomes void, a superior blissful feeling is generated in her, and a peculiar sensually aroused tinkling sound coming from inside of her body is heard by her. Yeah, I'm giving the post-feminist version of this. Okay, postmodern feminist. Okay. Yeah. Tinkling sound. Okay. Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. Okay. What they call the Agnya Chakra, when the rising of Apana Nila succeeds in piercing the first of these Granthis, right? We spoke about those the other day. The yogi experiences complete satisfaction, which is here referred to as the fullness of heart. In fact, it is a reposeful state of mind in which heart is not disturbed anymore. One to contemplate. Heart is not disturbed anymore. So, next stage, Gattavasta. In the second state,
See, Ghat in Sanskrit means the body. So what is happening? Your in total body and personality, he says the prana goes little up.
in the second state, concentrated vayu courses through the middle path, meaning Sushumna. The yogi's asana then becomes unshakable. His knowledge increases and he becomes godlike. And then, on account of one's Vishnu Granthi being pierced, she hears the various sounds of a kettle drum being beaten in Ati Shunya, the nasopharyngeal cavity, Ati Shunya, which herald supreme bliss. And the note there is for the meaning of the word vayu in this context. Okay, look at other verses. Yeah, in this case it's talking about prana, the prana vayu itself. Yeah, and an earlier reference to the intensity of the extraordinary feeling of bliss as well as that of the internally aroused auditory sensations increase as the yogi advances in her or his yoga. Huh?
But it's introductory.
Yeah. Parichaya Vasta. So the third stage, right? Now prana.
This is introductory stage is a wrong translation. Things become more part of experience and you start understanding. That is what he says.
In the third state, prana reaches the Mahashunya, so that's the space inside between the eyebrows, which is the source of all siddhis, so these accomplishments, powers, if you like. And the sound of a mardala, kind of a drum, can be clearly heard in that empty space. Then rising above the bliss of the highest order of the mind, experienced by Chitta, Sahajananda, the state of supreme bliss, is attained by the yogi. And then there is freedom from all imbalances of humors, pain, old age, disease, hunger, and sleep.
Becomes under your control.
Excuse me?
Hunger and sleep, etc. becomes under your control.
Yeah, so pain, old age, gracefully aging, disease, more under your control, there's greater capacity, with the siddhi. Okay, and then last, Nishpati Avastha. So in the Nishpati Avastha...
Nishpati means falling in the state of things.
In the Nishpati Avastha, so as the Rudra Granthi is pierced and Anila gets to the Sarva Pitta, the sound of musical notes of a well-tuned veena instrument is heard. So here the Anila means the same thing as Apana Anila. A lot of synonyms are used here, for kind of Shishumna and Prana and stuff, okay? Because it's poetry, as he said. It's like naming your love, flowers and colors and all that in a poem. Then remains Chitta, and Chitta alone, the state called Raja Yoga. And in that state, the yogi acquires the power of creating and destroying the whole universe like God herself. Glad to know she's back. The fourth stage in the progress of yoga is called Nishpati because it is the culmination of all that a yogi does on the three preceding stages. All At this stage, the rising prana meets no resistance, and the yogi, having achieved their goal, has nothing more to do. Hence this description. Himself capable of creating and destroying the universe, he is in this respect like God himself. Here the word Raja Yoga is used for the highest point in the ascent. If, after reaching this stage, the yogi wishes to do so, he can make and unmake the universe.
If you remember, when he is writing Hatha Pradipika, he has said, Kevalam Raja Yoga Hatha Vidya Upadishyate. I am narrating this Hatha Yoga to achieve the state of Raja Yoga. So they are linked together. So that is what he says. Okay.
So there may or may not be anything like liberation.
I narrated it today.
Here certainly is uninterrupted bliss. This bliss which results from Laya is obtained from Raja Yoga. So this Raja Yoga is a state of uninterrupted bliss, is the state of Samadhi in which the Chitta remains merged in one ultimate reality. For the veiling of the cities, the yogi has to come out of that state. So from this verse and from other verses, it seems that the author, the compiler here, is more concerned with liberation from dukkha than liberation from lifetime to lifetime transmigration and powers. Those who do not aim at success in Raja Yoga are mere practitioners of Hatha. I believe the labor of these striving aspirants to be fruitless. So, what it's saying here is Hatha Yoga divorced from Raja Yoga is not of much use for the aspirants in this Adhyatma Yoga, though it is not entirely useless. And just as an extra note, the author-compiler habitually indulges in exaggeration. He's a poet. So you got to start practice sometime. But now you've heard. Get your Raja on. Yes, okay. Any questions? We got about 5 minutes or so. Guy?
In one of the slokas you mentioned Vajroli and Amroli, and I was wondering what happens in those practices.
See, Vajroli, Amroli and Sahajoli, they are three concepts coming from Tantra. But in Hatha Yoga, they have, when he discusses in 4th chapter, it happens inside you in the nadi, when some fluid fall in that sushumna and things start. When they become two together, this is called Sahajoli. And there is something which you have to taste, some secretion comes on your tongue and you taste it, it gives you a spiritual strength. Few people think it is a pituitary, and that they say it happens not in tantric way, it is happening in your body, and that they call Amroli.
The same as Kachari.
See, remember some modern books published in the West, they have translated Amroli as drinking of self-urine, which is not correct.
Could you talk a little more about mudras?
See, mudras, as I told, if you remember, that the word mudra comes in 3 disciplines. It comes in Indian dance, it comes in Tantra, also in Hatha Yoga. Now in Hatha Yoga, the asanas done with the retention of breath along with bandhas, they become mudras. This is the definition which is nearestly possible. So that is the mudra. It is given when pranayam does not help you to awaken the kundalini. Then mudras, your teacher may ask to do certain mudras which help you to have that higher experience through awakening of kundalini. That is mudra.
Do you have a question? Yeah, please.
I want to ask you about the four stages of yoga and grantees.
First stage of yoga.
Four stages of yoga and grantee, the relationship. So in the Hatha Pradipika, first one is a piercing Brahma Granthi.
Brahma Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, Rudra Granthi.
Yes, but the third one is Mahasunya. It is between eyebrow.
Eyebrow.
So for me,
Mahasunya is a state of your consciousness.
okay.
It's not a Granthi nor any nadi. Shunya means the zero, where no thought exists. Complete blank with ecstasy. So it starts from Agyacha.
Not piercing.
Huh?
Not piercing. Not. What should I say? So for me,
No, as a result, when prana crosses the Rudra Granthi, it happens.
And he said the other day, because if you read some of the Yoga Upanishads, they place the granthis in actually different places.
In Tantra also,
Yeah.
they differ.
But
But
here,
Granthis, don't where they are, but there are three Granthis, everyone agrees.
Technology. I'm hearing like a lot of questions about granthis and chakras and kundalini and enlightenment, the four stages and stuff. Should you be like goal orientated towards that, or should you just enjoy the practice and the journey for what it is?
To me, it looks like a language which I don't understand.
all right, then here we go. Translation coming. No, he's saying that obviously, as we discuss stuff in this Hatha Pradipika, there's discussion on granthis, chakras, nadis, kundalini, eventual enlightenment, and so on. What might be perceived as out there or higher-minded stuff. Should one be goal-oriented with that, or should you just enjoy the practice for what it is, regardless?
One should enjoy the practice.
Day by day.
Let it happen whenever it happens.
You practice nicely at the same time.
So the journey is important.
Automatically that comes. We are heading, you know what beautiful thing they have said? In Rigveda it comes that you are already heading towards that, whether you do something or don't do something. Only the question is of time and births. How many births you will take to realize. With abhyas it becomes shorter. That's only the difference. As they say, divinity is not to be created, only that you have to remove the dust. So when it is possible, that will happen. Okay.
Yeah, very good. So we'll take a break, get into the recitation after that, and then practice.